Hello! So one of the books I chose to talk about in my book talk today was a chapter book called Faceless by Alyssa Sheinmel. I loved this book. It is so engaging and interesting in so many ways. So some interesting things about the author. Alyssa Sheinmel is a young adult fiction writer. She's also young herself. And she has a great author website if you ever want to look at it. It's really adorable and interactive, and you can click and read about her biography, some frequently asked questions, news and updates about her books, and where she'll be touring and doing speaking events. But the thing I love the most was that when you read her biography and her answers to her fan questions, you just get a general sense that she's very down to earth and sweet, and she really is a real human being. And I think that comes across a lot in her writing. You connect really well with her characters, and she really just has a great voice. I love this book, Faceless. It's a story about a young girl named Maisie Winters, and she's 17 years old, and she goes out for a run one morning when there is a thunderstorm that starts happening, and a tree gets struck by lightning and falls onto an electrical line, which then falls down onto the grass that she's standing on and electrocutes her and severely burns her. So she has these really bad burns across half her body, and her face becomes all burned, and like a lot of the flesh and the bone get eroded away, and she ends up getting put into a coma to recover because the pain is too immense that she wouldn't be able to survive it if she was awake. So she goes into this coma, and she wakes up, and she's a completely different person. And she realizes that part of her face is gone and her body is so different. And then, just by the way things worked out, the doctors tell her that she is a candidate for a face transplant. So her parents talk to her and they agree that they want her to live a normal life, so they opt for the surgery. Throughout the book, you learn about Maisie Winters and how this face transplant affected her entire life. Her family, her parents, her boyfriend, who she was dating before the accident, and how their relationship is affected after. And she has to go back to school, and she's in high school, and it's all about adapting to this new identity. And everyone keeps telling her that she's so lucky that she survived, but she doesn't really understand why they would say that, because she doesn't feel lucky at all. So I was immediately drawn in by the character, and also by the interesting use of talking about the science behind this face transplant. She talks a lot about the medication she takes and like different side effects, and whether the nerves in her face will ever regain full function. She can't blush for the first part of her experience with this face transplant, and her face feels really heavy, and I just feel like that's so interesting to learn about, other than the psychological effects. So I just wanted to take this time to read a little section of the book, and the part that I'm reading from is at the beginning of the book. Maisie has woken up from the coma, and this is before she gets the face transplant. So she's woken up from the coma, and she's realized that her face is completely disfigured. And she has burns on her body, and her skin feels tight. And she's in the hospital with her father, and she wants to see what her mangled face looks like. "I need to see it," I beg softly. "Please." My father nods, then disappears. For a second, I think he's leaving to get a doctor, a nurse, to insist they increase my morphine drip so that I'll fall back asleep. Maybe he hopes that when I wake up, I won't remember any of this, or that I'll think it was just a dream. It seems like something out of a dream, a nightmare, really. Because in the real world, there's no such thing as a girl without a face. Much to my surprise, Dad comes back with a mirror in his hand, the kind they put in the bathroom to help you put makeup on. I wait for him to put the mirror above my face so that I can see my reflection. My head is wrapped in bandages, but I can see that where my nose should be protruding is flat as a pancake. My face kind of collapses just below my bottom lip. The gauze sinks inward where my chin used to be, like someone took an axe and sliced the bone right off, leaving nothing but empty space between my mouth and my neck. The string of panic around my ribcage is tight, tighter than it's ever been before. I've never seen anything so ugly. I am a freak, an alien, an extra from a sci-fi movie. I'm a monster who makes children cry, the cautionary tale parents tell. A choke sort of gasp sticks in my throat as my eyes, the only features I can still recognize, fill with tears. What happens to a girl after she's been destroyed? Does she stay in the hospital forever, like an ogre from a folktale locked away in a tower? Does she go back to school and get pointed at, gawked at, gossiped about? Does her boyfriend... Oh my God, my boyfriend. Oh, Shirag can't see me like this. Shirag can't see me ever again. I can't believe I actually found it comforting to imagine he was sitting in a chair beside my bed holding my hand all this time. Does Shirag even know about this? What have my parents told him? I wish I'd never made Mom promise to call him. My heart is pounding so hard and so loud that I want to cover my ears. Before my dad leaves, I ask him to put the mirror on the right side of my bed. I want to be within arm's reach so that I can grab it any time I need to remind myself that I was wrong. There is such a thing as a girl without a face. So that is just a little segment of this book. As you can see, it's got this descriptive language that really makes these vivid images come about while you're reading it. And I think it's important for any high schooler to read. I don't think it's necessary just for girls to read this book because it has a lead female character. I think it could be interesting for anyone to read. So I really love this book and I really recommend reading it.